Thanksgiving? Who talks about Thanksgiving in September? Well, we do when it's included in the passage we're studying on the Lord's Day. Stick around for a few minutes and you'll find out more as we dig a little deeper into the text from this past Sunday. My name is David Miller, and I'm the pastor of membership here at McGregor, and this is Beyond the Notes. Last Sunday, we looked at what happens when we give financially to the local church as we continued our study of 2 Corinthians. And in the passage that we studied together, the Apostle Paul describes what happens when we give in 2 Corinthians chapter 9, verses 6 through 15. And once again, this was one of those instances of too many words in too little time when I preach. And if I ever get good at this, maybe I'll fix that and that will stop happening. But that particular passage describes the enriching that happens when God's people give financially to the church. And that enriching is way more about spiritual wealth than it is about financial wealth. God enriches us by shaping our attitude towards giving, reminding us of His love for cheerful givers, and how He supplies and multiplies His grace to us, and of course, how He produces righteousness in us as we give. I preached all of that on Sunday, and if you missed it, that message is available for you to go back and watch or listen to. And if you subscribe to this podcast, you don't have to go looking for it. It comes to you. So one of the ways that God enriches us that I did not dwell on very long was from verse 11 in 2 Corinthians 9. And I titled that verse on my sermon, The Payoff of Thanksgiving. One of the big payoffs when we give financially is Thanksgiving. And I don't mean the holiday. The only payoff I know to the Thanksgiving holiday is gaining weight and taking a nap, probably in that order. But the payoff that Paul is referring to here in 2 Corinthians chapter 9, verse 11 is this: you will be enriched in every way, to be generous in every way, which through us will produce thanksgiving to God. So the payoff when we give is not a financial one, but it is the thanks given by other people. Think about the specific context here in 2 Corinthians chapter 9. This offering that Paul has been collecting from other churches and is now coming to Corinth so that the Corinthian church can contribute to it. And it will be eventually given by Paul to the Jerusalem church. And the Jerusalem church will do what? They will thank God for the generosity that He created in those from the Corinthian church who gave. Thanks be to God. Now, if someone came up to you today and gave you $1,000 and you desperately needed that $1,000, more than likely after you picked yourself up off the ground, what would be the first phrase out of your mouth to that person? Well, it would be thank you, right? And why is that? That would be the most typical response in most cultures and in most people. And you'd say that because you would want to thank the giver of the gift. But wait a minute. According to all that we've looked at in 2 Corinthians 8 and 9 so far, who is actually the giver? Well, God is. So our being generous in every way will produce thanksgiving, not to us as we give, but to God. Again, thanks be to God. Now, I want to be clear that it's not a sin to say thank you to someone for a gift that they give you. Actually, parents, if you're raising kiddos, it's still a good thing to teach your kids to say thank you. But have you ever met a person that has a constant need to be thanked? Well, I don't need to be thanked, but I just cannot believe that they did not thank me for that. Can you? Ever known somebody like that? That person has forgotten the source of all good things, haven't they? And it ain't them, it's the Lord. James chapter 1, verse 17 says, every good gift and every perfect gift is from above, coming down from the Father of lights. See, friends, our generosity does lead to thanks, but thanks should always be directed to God. So I want to make a suggestion to you. Instead of saying thank you when someone is generous to you, try this response. Say, I thank God for you. Give that a try. Say it with me. I thank God for you. The Apostle Paul uses this phrase in his letters several times. So the next time you want to encourage somebody who is giving of their time, serving in some way faithfully in the church, tell them, I thank God for you. When someone disciples you or mentors you and helps you follow Christ, tell them, I thank God for you. And when someone is financially generous to you, say to them, I thank God for you. Friends, thanksgiving goes to God. See, Christian giving is designed to create more thanksgiving to the Lord, not to each other. And that's the point Paul is making in verse 11 of 2 Corinthians 9, when he tells the Corinthian church, you will be enriched in every way to be generous in every way, which through us will produce thanksgiving to God. It's among the many ways that God enriches his people when we give financially to the local church. So there you go. That's enough for today. Thank you so much for listening. If you've enjoyed this, hit the like button or the subscribe button or the share button, or there's lots of buttons you can hit. Just hit them all. Start pressing stuff. And at that point, something magical will probably happen at Skynet when you do. But I don't understand what it is, but I do what they tell me. So before we go, if you do want to be ready for next Sunday's sermon, we will be moving on to 2 Corinthians chapter 10 in verses 1 through 6. So feel free to read ahead because Paul is changing the subject. And so this coming Lord's Day, so will we. That's how exegetical preaching works. God bless and have a great week.